the dark is coming. We are all up in our eyes, we are all up in our heart, we are all up in our mind, under the same sky. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we are one in struggle. Let's raise our dream together. Let's reach our dream together.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Isabel Vera Cruz of SB Philippines, and I will be your host for today's webinar. But before we begin, if any of you have questions regarding the discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by entering it in the comments section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and I'll be here to relay them to our guest speaker. Welcome to Climate Change Technology and the Role of Youth, a live learning series of ESME.ph, an e-learning marketplace for Filipino professionals where one can develop relevant and in-demand skills through master classes in different fields of learning. To learn more about us, feel free to visit our page at www.esme.ph. For those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, feel free to share the link to the stream to people who you think will be interested in today's topic. This webinar is in partnership with the ASEAN Youth Organization, an ASEAN-approved nonprofit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young people in Southeast Asia. This webinar is also brought to you by the Rotary Club of Alabang, Madrigal Business Park. First of all, thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. For sure, we will have an environment-friendly discussion about climate change today. Yes, climate change is real, and one of its effects, global warming. Sobrang init ngayon, grabe, di ba? Make sure to hydrate in this weather. As much as tag-init na ngayon, this heat is not normal. It should not be tolerated. And how does technology help? Renewable energy like solar panels and wind turbines help in reducing greenhouse gases emission, which mitigates the effect of climate change. Yes, technology advances and cost efficiency drives the prices of renewable energy down. Di ba? Win-win, hindi ba? But wait, there's more. The younger generation is also part of the fight against climate change. As environmental damages persist, the youth needs to become agents of change in order to reverse our mistakes and save our home for the future generation. Our guest today is a UPLB graduate with a master's degree in environmental science. An academic feat of our guest was that she was a research associate for the World Bank, where she was part of the research team who submitted a report about the agricultural pollution issues in the Philippines back in 2016. In 2019, she was accepted into a program as a graduate research fellow in Yokohama City University, where the program she got accepted placed special emphasis on field studies and provides us the opportunity to meet and discuss with experts who have engaged directly in urban development challenges. Aside from her current employee in LANDBANK, as an environmental consultant, she is also a climate reality leader, which is part of the Climate Reality Project, filled with passionate individuals committed to build a sustainable future together. She clearly has ties to the community and love for the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome our speaker today, Patricia Mae Paraiso.
Hello everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Isa, for this wonderful introduction. And first of all, I want to thank ESME Philippines, ASEAN Youth Organization Philippines, Rotaract ASEAN, Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park, and Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park for this wonderful opportunity to share my insights about climate change and environment and the role of the youth. Okay, can I share my slides now? Yeah. So, first of all, I'm gonna talk climate change technology and the youth. I'm gonna talk what climate change is briefly, and its impacts to the Philippines. While I will be dwelling to the technology and the role of youth. So let's go. I wanna share this image with you. This is called the blue marble. This is taken during the last Apollo 17 mission. This is one of the most widely distributed photo and the first image to show the almost fully illuminated Earth, the complete circle. This picture is called the blue marble, and it's amazing because the astronauts had the sun behind them when they took the image. So this image helped us to see the big picture of the planet and help scientists to find solutions to climate crisis. So I hopefully at the end of my presentation, we will view this planet as a more valuable to us, and we will shift perspective. We will have new perspective from it. So I want to share with you the organization that I am part of. It is called the Climate Reality Project, uh, and it is a non-profit organization involved in education and advocacy related to climate change. We are activists, cultural leaders, organizers, scientists, and storytellers committed to building a sustainable future together. So here we are trained to create awareness and about climate change crisis and catalyze global solutions. So I will share some slides from Climate Reality Project that we are free to use in order to inform the public about climate change. As you can see in the slide, this is the photo of the sun shining over the Earth's horizon through the two lowermost layers of the atmosphere, the troposphere and the stratosphere. So this is very thin layer. Solar radiation from the sun in the form of light waves passes through the atmosphere. Most of this radiation is absorbed by the Earth and warms it. Some energy is radiated back to the space by the Earth in the form of infrared waves. Some of this outgoing infrared radiation is trapped by the Earth's atmosphere and warms it. So this is a good thing even though it is trapped because this is necessary to bring life to Earth. But the problem is we're thickening this thin layer of greenhouse gases and more of the outgoing heat is trapped. That is why the temperature is going up. That is why we experience abnormal heat right now. So maybe this concept of climate change is not really new to us. It is found in textbooks, in our studies, in our courses, but it's important to remind us that the anthropogenic that we cause this, the humans cause this. Humans, more specifically the greenhouse gases emissions we generate, are the leading cause of the Earth's rapidly changing climate. Greenhouse gases play an important role in keeping the planet warm enough to inhabit. But the amount of these gases in our atmosphere has skyrocketed in the recent decades. Where are all this coming from? Well, from a lot of different sources: agriculture, the making of plastics and petrochemicals, mining, transportation, the thawing of permafrost, and others. So these are necessary for our everyday life. But because of technology, we can shift to more cleaner energy that have lesser greenhouse gases emissions or nothing at all. So 90% of all the extra heat is trapped in the oceans because it is the carbon sink. So as the temperature increases, the oceans evaporate more moisture to the sky. That's why we have a global shift in climate. The climate is the long-term climate effects are really happening now. So I want to show you how vulnerable is the Philippines in climate change. Most affected, Philippines is the fourth most affected by climate change from 1999 to 2018, suffering annual average losses up to 3.1 billion USD of or 0.57% of the country's GDP. This is according to the Global Climate Risk Index of 2020. Maybe this is not the most updated one, but we can really see that Philippines is this vulnerable to climate change. So I'm gonna share with you briefly the impacts of climate change in our country. So uh, there are frequency changes in the frequency intensity of typhoons, sea level rise, and prolonged more intense droughts and dry spells. So the projection for our country for the next years is the storms will be less frequent, but the intensity will be extreme. In July 2019, 51 local government units declared state of emergency due to droughts and dry spells caused by El Nino and climate change, affecting Filipino farmers, and their crops are lost. So in 2016, maybe we remember there are Kidapawan farmers that are affected, but this resulted to violence, and they are just voicing out their experiences. So observed sea level rise is remarkably highest in the 60 centimeters in the Philippines. This is about 3 times that of the global average of 19 centimeters. Also, one of the climate impacts is the surge of dengue and other vector-borne diseases. So the species extinctions, coral bleaching, and water scarcity. So globally, 98% of coral reefs will die by 2050. This is according to the UNDP. If we won't work for climate change. By years 2051 and 2060, the maximum catch potential of Philippine seas will be decreased by as much as 50% compared to catch potentials in 2001 and 2010. This is according to the IPCC Fifth Assessment Report. Considering our Philippine forests, one of the world's biodiverse forest hotspots, the IPCC predicts that with a 1.5 degrees Celsius to 2.5 degrees Celsius rise in temperature in a span of 50 to 100 years, 30% of the species will be at risk of extinction. The combination of climate change, rapid urbanization, and population growth have driven water scarcity worldwide, but the Philippines will experience a high degree of water shortage in the year 2040, according to the World Resources Institute. So these effects are really saddening, but let us be hopeful because there are solutions that we must act now. So I will now discuss the technological solutions that I have experience of. Renewable energy sources. So we are so lucky that we are in the Philippines despite we are the most vulnerable because we are very blessed with natural resources like wind, solar, biomass, hydro, and geothermal. So we have the vast potential of renewable energy resources that we must tap. Most of these are untapped, and nationwide we must develop this. I want to share with you the work that I'm part of work is the Clean Development Mechanism. So the CDM allows developed countries to provide funds and technology to mobilize emission reduction projects. By this, developing countries can earn certified emission reduction credits. These CRs can be traded and sold and used by industrialized countries to meet a part of their emission reduction targets. So the developed countries can assist and help the developing countries like the Philippines to attain sustainable development by providing funds and technology to reduce emissions by mobilizing some projects. By this, the developing countries like the Philippines can solve their emission targets. This emission reduction potential targets is um, the decrease in emissions that we can sell to the developed countries so that they can attain their target emission. So in the Philippines, LANDBANK established the Carbon Finance Support Facility to provide financing and other services within the context of Clean Development Mechanism. LANDBANK is collaborating with piggery farms and landfill sites since these activities produce methane, a greenhouse gas contributor to climate change. Its goal is to capture these methane emissions and convert them to energy. How how is this happen? So this is an overview of how the biogas system mobilized this technology in piggery farms. Pig waste from farms will enter and combine in an anaerobic digester or biodigester, where methane is captured through anaerobic conditions. Then, methane is converted to electricity by the biogas generator sets. By the use of flare, excess methane are converted to cleaner gas emission. The electricity is generated can be used by the farm and the emission reduction is calculated. Aside from the climate mitigation impacts, this can also lead to better water quality since their wastewater are treated. Their wastewater are treated. The project also shows the benefits of biomass as a renewable energy. It lowers the farm's reliance to the grid, and by this they can save costs for their electricity and earn by selling their carbon credits. So it's a beneficial project for both the farms, the environment, and the countries. So this is an overview of one technology that can be solved to mitigate the effects of climate change. Another technology is the geographic information system. It is a system designed to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of geographical data. So to have an overview, I will explain how the GIS works. There are four components of the geographic information system: the software, hardware, data, and people. So before that, the keyword to this technology is geography. This means that some portion of the data is spatial. In other words, data is in some way reference to the locations of the Earth. GIS allows users to view, understand, question, interpret, and visualize data in many ways that reveal relationships, patterns, and trends in the form of maps, globes, reports, and charts. So for the software, we need a computer program, a GIS a program that is capable of GIS mapping. And then we need the hardware, the computer. There are some hardware requirements that is needed to for depending on the size of the data. The data, it can be spatial, it can be population like that. It can be many forms. I will discuss some examples later. So for the people, this is the user. So they should be capable of GIS mapping. So some of these are genetic engineers, environmental scientists, and many others. Geographer, yeah. So some softwares that I am familiar with is the QGIS and ArcGIS. So QGIS is a free software downloadable in the internet. So it's like the left one. While the ArcGIS are paid software. So your organization can buy a software and then it can be supplied to many users, many laptop. There are packages for students like that. So I will not dwell on the methods, but I want to show you some environmental applications. This can be useful in disaster risk reduction and management, land use and land cover change analysis, ecosystem management, suitability analysis, and many others. So these are advanced applications, but later I will show you a simpler one. So as you can see, GIS is very useful in decision making, especially if the data is spatial. It's not only in environment, but in communications, in road mapping, in construction, GIS is also used. So I want to show you an example. Because I have the opportunity to work in Manila Observatory with Liz, Doc Celine, Doc Lau, and Doc Gemma. So in this, we studied the impacts of Taal volcano phreatic eruption last January 12, 2020 as the environment and population to the environment and population. So as you can see in the data, as you can see in the map, so this is an example of the map generated in GIS. Ashfall was able to reach these highly populated areas of Laguna, even though it's outside the 17-kilometer and 14-kilometer danger zone, the circle. So the ashfall, this is the path of the ashfall, the red line. So even though the population is not high as concentrated in the towns within the 14 and 17-kilometer danger zones, the residents within the 17-kilometer danger zones had to evacuate their homes and leave their properties. So in this single map, we can see many things and useful for decision making. We can see evacuation plans. We can use this map of how many, because it has the barangay population density. How many is the population to be evacuated? We can see the path of the ashfall. We can see the vulnerable population, and we can see an overview. And this can be useful in the post-disaster analysis and future disaster as guidelines. So I hope that you are enlightened with the GIS and appreciate its usefulness. So next one, I want to share with you another technology. So as Isa said before, I had the opportunity to have a short-term fellowship in Japan through the collaboration between Yokohama City University and University of the Philippines, Los Baños, when I am still in my graduate studies. So as you can see in the photo, in the left, this is Chai Sensei, Susan, another participant, me, and Miss Michiro Sasagawa. She's the director of People for Rainwater. The NPO means non-profit organization. So People for Rainwater and Sumida City in Tokyo collaborates because of their Sumida City may be not as familiar as any other tourist destination in Tokyo, but we can see that it is a sustainable city. So in the left photo, Sumida City is covered with concrete. So in 1981, they experienced flooding. That's in the right photo. So it's amazing because in 1981, they have learned what their lessons because of the flooding. Um, Besa, since Sumida City area is covered with concrete, they they innovate. Yeah, this one. They innovate practices on how they can mitigate flooding by using this technology. So this technology is called the Sensei Niwa or front garden. So the Japanese is um, medyo may pagkaplantita din sila. So ayan. They want they are used to having a small plant beside their homes or inside their homes. Small garden, yeah. Because they believe in the interconnected of all things. Because a building can also have life or in the house. A building in its entirety is much like the body where life flows through it. Usually the gardener links the garden compositionally to his home. So Sensei Niwa is in the front of the house. So it's like so as you can see in the photo, um, the pipe uses rainwater connected and it is connected to the plant. So the plant uses rainwater connected to the the pipe to grow. This depicts the interconnectedness of rainwater, which can be useful in the growth of plants. So they can also mitigate runoff from rainwater that can cause a flood. So in Sumida City, most of the households have Sensei Niwa. So this is a very simple technology, but they have learned their past mistakes and uses innovation and think of ways on how they can mitigate climate change, the impacts of climate change. The people for rainwater believe that living together with rainwater. So this is an example of Sensei Niwa, and this is also an example of Sensei Niwa in the front office of the people with rainwater. So this is an example of some households have individual rainwater harvester system or Tensuwison. So in the Philippines, I think we can have this technology. Most of the condos industries have this technology of rainwater harvester system. But we should mainstream them because um, rain in urban areas is often viewed as a hazard, not considered as a valuable resource. I myself is guilty of this because I think because it creates flooding, so I think it's just a hazard. But if we really live together with rainwater, if we are living in harmony with nature, we can think of this as a valuable resource. Rainwater is currently underused and rainwater harvesting technology is not that popular in the country. It can be a means of minimizing pressure on water sources. The mean annual rainfall in the Philippines varies from 965 to 4,000 millimeters annually. So that's a huge one. So rainwater harvesting is very useful, especially when urbanized areas like Metro Manila experience water. And it can be useful in water shortage. We can save water as well as we can mitigate flooding. Truly living together with rainwater, when we view it holistically, just like the hydrologic cycle, it can be sustainable. So hopefully, some of the plantitas out there will try to mitigate to initiate this one. So those are the technologies that I am familiar with, and hopefully you have some insights on this and you can learn from it. So I just want to show you some global frameworks on climate actions. There are the Sendai Framework, 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, Paris Agreement on Climate Change. So we know that climate change is real and it affects every facet of our human lives. So to solve this, these are the following global frameworks available. Sendai Framework aims for substantial reduction of disaster risk and losses in lives, livelihoods, and health in the economic, physical, social, cultural, and environmental assets of persons, businesses, communities, and countries. For the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, this is a shared blueprint for peace and for prosperity for people and the planet. So it's just a living in harmony with nature. For the Paris Agreement, a global action plan to limit the global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius, pursuing efforts to limit it further below 1.5. So these numbers are very useful based on the studies. So most of you, I know that is familiar with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So these are the 17 goals to transform our world. As you can see, it is a bit ideal and ambitious. But I believe that when we view it holistically, when we are united and technologies, solutions are at hand, is available, we can achieve this. So I want to show you some national frameworks on climate action in the Philippines. So there are 3 local frameworks to ensure that climate action is given an equal or greater priority in the government. These are the NCCAP, or the National Climate Change Action Plan, which identifies the country's 7 priority areas for climate actions. The nationally determined contributions, a country's GHG carbon emission reduction targets to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. So we submitted our NDC target last April 2021, but most of these are conditional. I think 70+% are conditional. So there, I will not dwell on this because there is a talk in ESME, if you can see in the page, that will be talking about the nationally determined contributions in the Philippines. Philippine Development Plan, or Ambition Natin 2040. It incorporates climate change and disaster risk in national strategies and urges implementation of climate change and disaster risk reduction sectors. Excuse me. So most of us question, what can we do? What can we do in this climate battle? So most of watching maybe are youth. I just wanna tell you that you are not too young in this climate battle, or if you are not the youth anymore, you are not too old. Excuse me. So first of all, I wanna share that we should keep ourselves safe and healthy. We are in this pandemic, and hopefully we are safe and healthy. We just follow the protocols and proper hygiene. So this COVID-19 pandemic is really an environmental problem because it shows how we interact with wildlife. So I will not dwell on this, but let us keep safe and healthy. Number 2, appreciate the value of what you have. So look everywhere around you. I have this coffee right here, the electric fan right there. So everything that we see in our surroundings, we owe it to the environment. The food we eat, the water we drink, we owe it to the environment. If we only appreciate the values of what we have, then everything will follow. Imagine if you purchase your hard-earned money using a Yeezy Boost. It's I don't have any picture, but it's a shoes that cost around 20,000 pesos, like that. So or higher. So because you purchase your hard-earned money to that shoe, you will protect it, right? Because you know what value of that shoe is 20,000 pesos plus. So I hopefully we can view our environment as precious and important, and we can really see the value of it. Because I will just share my experience. Back in my graduate studies, we have this method on valuing the natural resources. It's called cost benefit analysis. So in every project, in every project there is a cost of the project. We should see that if the project is sustainable and beneficial, the benefits outweigh the cost. And all of the factors are monetized, like the tree, it is a carbon sink. So we have to monetize this because if we really, it can be more, we can more visualize, mas makikita natin yung kahalagan ng isang bagay kapag alam natin yung value nito, kung magkano ito. So, kung naisip natin yun, how can we rethink urbanization? Do we think the tree as precious? Do we put all the buildings and no green spaces? So just like that. Number 3, small things matter and act from wherever you are. So this is not just for the youth, but for all of us. So small things matter. If you are just a student, you can study hard and think. I know it's hard to study in this pandemic, but think of it as a blessing that we are studying. And act from wherever you are. If you're a housewife or you're a young professional, you have you can do small things in this climate battle. Just like turning off the lights, I can list some of it, but if you appreciate what you have, then it will follow. So just minimizing the single-use plastics. Number 4, join organizations with environmental advocacies. So just like ASEAN youth organizations, we know that small things matters and we can act wherever we are. But if we join these organizations, we can be more empowered and we can learn more things. And sometimes if one collective action is really matters too. Number 5, cancel the cancel culture. So we have this culture of canceling what we don't like. And I think that this is not that good because how can we move forward if we cancel what we don't like? So it's just like if you have a government official that you want to inform, educate, if you will just cancel him or her, then we're not going to move forward. It's more on strategizing and being creative on how we can communicate these things because we can be maybe he is a different background or your boss has a different background, so we can cancel the cancel culture. And there is a quote, there is a lyrics in She Will Be Loved, like it's not always rainbows and butterflies, but compromise to move us along. So maybe some of you will disagree with me, but in order to move along, we can compromise and we can learn how to balance things and we can inform that person. We can continually educate him, just like that. Number 6, register to vote and vote wisely. So 2022, there is an upcoming elections, and I hope that we will register to vote. The registration is up to September. Of course, just observe proper protocol and vote wisely. So we need leaders who are into our environment battle. So we need empowered leaders and we need leaders, not just uh, we need public servants, not trafo. So hopefully we will vote wisely. And imagine the youth, I think the millennials is the majority of the voters, right? We have the power to elect the next leader. So we are really valuable. 7, be compassionate, especially to the vulnerable population. So these are the poor and marginalized, the young, the old, the PWD. So this vulnerable population, they are the most affected in this climate battle. So imagine the coastal communities, all the plastic, all the waste that we have, they end up in river, and the pollution, they are within the area. So the fisheries, the fishermen, they are vulnerable, especially. Yeah. Number 8, be optimistic because solutions are at hand. So I know that it is saddening because of some environmental problems, but we have a long way to go, and there are solutions at hand. So be optimistic. So this is again the Apollo 17 image of the Earth, and a Bible verse where we have the humans have the responsibility to protect it. So I hope that we view this image as more valuable after this. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Patricia, for that, for such an enlightening lecture. Without a doubt, we have all learned some important lessons today that I'm sure we can apply in our lives. So, moving on to the question and answer portion, if you have any questions about this topic, just type them down in the comment section below, and I'll be the one to relay them to Miss Patricia. Okay. So I have here a question. In your own opinion, how does the ASEAN region adjust to the impacts of climate change to the environment?
I think they are because of the ASEAN region, we are collaborating with each other, and there are regional cooperation. So they are helping each other, the ASEAN countries, and they are prioritizing. Of course, now there is a COVID pandemic, so we are prioritizing our own health. But in in relation to climate change, there are funders like ADB that helps each other bilaterally in the same region.
Okay. Talking about ASEAN, I have another question. How does each ASEAN country prioritize the different sectors of their social, political, and economical needs in a time where climate change is rampant?
So yes, so I'm not familiar with other ASEAN country, but there are global frameworks that can be a guide to this. So there are sustainable development goals. So I think their policies are somewhat aligned to this. So we are prioritizing, hopefully, because there are global frameworks available and there are national frameworks available. So it's a matter of implementation, and hopefully the leaders as well as the communities will enforce this.
Yeah.
And of
Before I
course, I'm
move
sorry.
on, eh,
Ayan,
go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So, because we have to prioritize this, we need to account all the social factors, the political and the economic needs of all nations. So, there are, I think, there are trade-offs available for this, and as you can see in my talk, I always emphasize the cost-benefit analysis. The benefits must outweigh the cost in every project, in every action.
Yes, thank you for that. Again, before I move on to the next question, if you have any questions or feedbacks, just type them down in the comment section below. So, Miss Patricia, do you think a technology breakdown will help, for better the climate change? Do you think uh do you think a technology breakdown will help us, will help the environment?
Technology breakdown. Yes, because it's just like a before. Yeah, ages ago, we don't have technology about this. But for now, we there are problems, but we as humans are capable of solving it, I believe. And because of these technologies, there are cleaner energy, and we just have to tap our natural resources. We just have to living in harmony with nature and be mobilize this technology in order for to battle the climate change.
Yes. And how exactly do you see the role of the younger generation, the youth, in the fight for climate change?
Actually, they have a huge role in this fight because, as we can see, they are the next leaders of the country. Yeah, kabataan sa pag-asa ng bayan. So, but I'm not limiting this to the youth because uh, we can be there are models outside the youth, and we must learn from them. And for the youth, I believe because they are the next leaders, and I think they are more aware now in this climate battle, in this climate change, and so I guess they have to really study and be involved in the community, and we have to see these problems anywhere. And I think that if we must be optimistic and not really down, but we have to be inspired because we have the resources to do it.
Definitely, I totally agree to what you just said. That's why I also learned a lot from the tips you gave, registering to vote, being optimistic and all, which is all amazing kasi nga the youth, they really have a great impact for what's to come. So, with that, do you have any advice or message to the youth in partaking in the fight for climate change?
Sige. I just wanna emphasize on this. Yeah, we have the resources, right, and we can solve it. But don't be pressured. Don't be pressured about this. Just do what you can do. There is I think I learned this story that there is a child wandering in the beach, and there are many starfish left behind the shores, and we know that the starfish needs water, but her mom is calling, so he have to put some of this and not all. But it's okay if you cannot put all, just put back what you can. So that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a great advice. So, Miss Patricia, thank you for being here with us today. Before we end this, would you like to promote anything in your future endeavors? Do you want to say anything else before I end this? Go ahead.
um just study hard, register to vote, and maybe join the ASEAN Youth Organization, the Climate Reality Leaders. And uh, thank you for viewing this webinar. And there are many webinars out there that are really informative. For your free time, just go ahead and watch them. And take care of yourselves.
Thank you so much, Miss Patricia. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone who's watching learned from you as well. So, yeah, for everyone who attended this webinar, all of you can get a digital certificate of your attendance. For sure, you want to get yours. If so, just head on to our website at www.sme.ph or click on the link that we posted in the comments section below. Make your own account and navigate to the title of the webinar that you joined today. So before this webinar comes to a close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn more and increase their knowledge and skills. Just visit our website at www.sme.ph. We offer a wide range of masterclass courses, most of which you enroll in based on whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interest. Thank you once again, Ms. Patricia, for being here with us today and sharing your knowledge. You have definitely imparted us with the motivation to take action. Of course, thank you to everyone who joined us today for climate change, technology, and role of youth with Miss Patricia Mae Paraiso. Sana we inspire the youth to take part in the fight against climate change. Hindi tayo pwede magpahuli sa kabataan. We can start with ourselves and hopes of influencing others by our action. Have a good day, everyone.